Jaylen Brown, a legitimate MVP candidate, but the advanced numbers don't like him. What? We're going to try to explain it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
And welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on weekends. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast, watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section, share your thoughts with me. I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering the team for about 20 years, doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple books about the team as well. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off on Fridays, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping at NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Jaylen Brown, legit MVP candidate. I've seen people talk online. I'm not sure if they're voters or not. Some people have him as high as number 2. Some people have him down a little bit lower. But one thing is weirdly clear. Advanced analytics don't seem to like Jaylen as much as they like other MVP candidates. And I can't quite figure it out. So I've enlisted the help of Tom Westerholm to help me figure it out. Tom.
Well, I mean, anytime there's, Mr. Kramer, my 10th grade math teacher, would be very pleased to hear that when analytics are involved, you got to get the mathematician in, and that's me. Notoriously good at math. So
right.
I'm glad I'm here.
You're not good at talking, so you have to be good at something.
It's got to be good at something.
Tom,
I will also say, real quick, your intro is very long, right? Like, I've written a bunch of books. I've done all this stuff. You should just say, I once did a dunk contest against Dee Brown.
That is true. I did do a dunk contest against Dee Brown.
I mean, that's pretty good.
That's okay. So people, if you don't follow me on social media, I posted yesterday at the game, Dee Brown was there. And I was like, oh my God, Dee Brown. It's the first time I've ever been in a building with Dee Brown. Like, I was showing Steve Bulpett. I got to go find Dee Brown. And I showed him this picture that I had from 1991 when I was in a dunk contest. Dee Brown had just won the dunk contest. And that summer, he did a mall tour around New England doing dunk contests to promote Reebok for, and in North Attleboro, Massachusetts at the Emerald Square Mall. I was among the participants of a dunk contest with Dee Brown. And I had the picture in the paper. It was very cool. Me and Dee. And it said 2 dunkers, and it had all that stuff in there. So, I got, thanks to the Celtics, they kind of got me in, Jeff Twiss got me in with Dee before the game. And I showed him the picture. And he was like, oh my God, we were just talking about this mall tour the other day. And so he took a picture with me, and I got to recreate the picture in the newspaper. So it was very cool. It was very cool.
Awesome.
I mean, this job gets me some really cool things. Like, I don't know. I just so many cool things that happen. This is among the top. So very cool.
What a great piece of Karalis lore. Like that's that's a good one. That's a banger.
I had 3 dunks that I made 2. I missed 1. I had one where, like, it's lame now, but back then it was like a thing where back to the basket, bounce the ball between your legs, turn, it bounces off the backboard, go up and catch it and dunk 2 hands. I did one where I tapped the backboard and dunked. And then I tried one where I had 2 balls and I tried to dunk the 2 balls. And I think, if I recall correctly, I actually made the left-handed one because I was so worried about making the lefty, and I missed the right one, which was weird. But funny story about so I went up and I tapped the backboard, and I just barely get the ball over the rim. Okay, so it's a dunk. Dee Brown gets the ball and just loads up, double taps the backboard, cocks it behind his head, and boom. And I was like, oh my God. That was just insane. Because I swear he double tapped, cocked it, paused, pointed at people in the crowd. It was so jarring that me, I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, I'm in this dunk contest, and I barely get like a little like tap dunk, and he's like, doom, ha ha, boom. I was like, that is the difference right there between, little high school like wannabe and Dee Brown dunk champion. So, but yeah, that was a long time. It was 1991.
What was his best dunk in that?
I think that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
I don't recall a lot of it. My memory gets hazy. That's the one that stood out to me because it was like
a bunch beforehand. Like, were you like, were you like getting yourself ready?
No, like, I mean, I didn't have like, I was in it, but I wasn't exactly like a dunk contest dunker. You know what I mean? Like, I could jump, I could dunk, I could do a couple of things, but I was like, it's not like I was out there, looking like Jaylen or anything like that. I wasn't like spinning and twisting and doing all that stuff. Like, those three that I had were basically the three I had in my bag. Like, there was not much. Like, as I got older, I had like a little bit more. Yeah. I added a little bit more like in college, but I still, even then, was not like, I wasn't exactly a highlight dunker. I was a 2-foot power dunker.
You weren't making Gary Payton. You weren't Jordan Kilgannon making Gary Payton do the face like that famous meme face. No. My bread and butter when it came to dunks was like 2 foot, plant, go up. I was more like trying to be like Dominique. Spin out of the post and like get a
I got you. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Drop, step, come back, just power and try to embarrass somebody. Like that was my jam. Like going up there and trying to spin and twist and all that stuff. I was like, ugh. But I did it and it was fun. Okay, so that's the explanation of what I posted out on my social media. Just that's like the worst part is 1991. There was no cell phones. There's no like proof. I just got this little clip in the paper that I finished third in the dunk contest.
Nah, counterpoint though. Like if there were cell phones, then people would be seeing you get a little tap dunk and then Dee Brown going tap, 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 point, slam. Like
yeah.
No, now you're in the paper with Dee Brown as dunk contest participant against NBA player. So actually, I think the arrow works in your favor.
Yeah, the lore. It's
the lore now.
It's the lore. Now I could just tell the story.
That's the problem with these camera phones is they kill off the lore. There's no lore anymore.
There's too much proof. It probably didn't look as good as I think. In my head, my dunks looked pretty good. In reality, there's like I don't know.
We might be onto something here, man. Like the death of lore might be the one of the main problems in society. And I
like that. I like that. We need more lore. We need more lore. You know what ruins lore? Advanced stats.
Analytics.
Analytics can ruin lore a lot. Like, I mean, here's Jaylen Brown sitting here as a legitimate MVP candidate, and we are looking at advanced. The discussion has been had a lot lately because he had a 50-point game against the Clippers, and like, okay, no one's really going to hold the game, this last game against him because, like, okay, it's whatever. He had a bad shooting night against the Bulls. Like, I do not care about that.
He was in LA like 24 hours before that game. Like, it's all right.
And he still did other stuff. He still rebounded, he still passed. He's like, it's not like it was a lack of effort. He just, the legs weren't there. Everybody has like a stinker shooting night. Big deal. Who cares? But the analytics seem to like give, I don't want to say the haters because I don't want to paint everybody who disagrees with a take as a hater. I don't like that. But the people who are advocating like it's not Jaylen Brown or Jaylen Brown is not exactly close, they have a lot of ammunition. So the MVP odds are still let me see. I gotta call these up on FanDuel. Now Jaylen has moved up in the MVP odds, by the way. He was at 80-1, now he's at 40-1. So I think the 50-point game had a lot of people putting their money down. So it's in order: SGA, Luka, Cade, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard. And you can get down to Steph Curry, Alperen Sengun, Kevin Durant. In that group, everybody is a positive, except for Jaylen Brown. Jalen Brunson's like when we talk about on-off, Jalen Brunson is like minus 0.2, so he's basically even. Jaylen Brown and Anthony Edwards are both -6 and change, according to Cleaning the Glass. Now, everyone else is a positive, and I think only like Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard are the two guys who are positives that lead their teams. Everyone else is a positive, but they're not quite at the top. And I bring that up because maybe that gives you a little sense of the on-off numbers. Are they a little skewed? Is there something going on with the on-off numbers? Because Jaylen Brown is having this incredible season. The eye test tells you that he's great. But when you look at on-off, Ugo plus 18.7, Anthony plus 8.1, Kata 5.6, D White 3.7. Then you get to Baylor Shireman -1, Jordan Walsh -1.4, Sam Hauser -3, Peyton Pritchard -3.7, Luka Garza -4.2, then Jaylen Brown -6.1. Way down that list. Why? Why is he at the bottom of that list? Let's take a break and come back and try to answer the question, why do the advanced analytics hate Jaylen Brown so much? Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel's making them feel even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop inside that FanDuel app before the action starts every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can come over and open up the FanDuel app and you get boosts, bonuses, other surprises. So check it out. Very easy to get the weekly specials before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. It's right before the games. It's right before the weekend starts. So you get a little extra energy, a little extra something on Friday nights without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. When you log in, make sure you're using the tools that they have available to you. As soon as you log in, it'll ask you to set your budget. Do that. Whatever you can afford to lose in case you have a cold night, a cold streak, it'll protect you so you can gamble responsibly. You don't want to go overboard? FanDuel will help you. They'll do that, and then you can enjoy Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network on the planet. This is the Locked On Celtics podcast, the #1 Celtics podcast on the planet. If you're an everydayer, thank you for being with me every Monday through Friday. You want to join the Everydayer Club, go to LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. For $5 a month, you get ad-free audio on all major podcast platforms. You get access to our Discord server. You get merchandise drops, all of that stuff. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. $5 a month, or if you want to pay up front, $50 for the year. All right, Tom. I'm a little confused, and maybe not shocked, because advanced analytics have never seemed to like Jaylen Brown like that. But every other number, everything else that you look at, it's the scoring's up. Everything is up for Jaylen. He's playing, without a doubt, the best basketball of his life, and the Celtics wouldn't be where they are without Jaylen. Why is it that his on-off is so bad?
Well, I think one thing we need to do, right, is define what the on-off is, right? Because the on-off is not saying that the Celtics are being outscored by 6 points when Jaylen Brown is on the floor, right? What they're saying is the lineups without Jaylen are outscoring opponents by more than the lineups with Jaylen are outscoring opponents, right? Yeah. And I think that's a really easy mistake that a lot of people make. So if you isolate it, right, and you say, okay, how are the Celtics doing when Jaylen Brown is on the floor? It gets a lot more friendly for him, right? It's when Jaylen Brown is on the floor, according to Cleaning the Glass, on court, the Celtics are outscoring teams by 5.6 points per 100 possessions, which is it's good. It's 76th percentile. Incidentally, and I think quite notably, it's better than Jalen Brunson, right? Knicks lineups with Jalen Brunson are outscoring teams by 4.6, and it's a lot better than Luka Dončić. Laker lineups with Luka Dončić are outscoring opponents by 2.8. So that right there is, I think, a big part of the problem. I think a lot of people don't are misinterpreting what that lineup data says, because it is not saying that the Celtics are being outscored when Jalen's on the floor. I think one thing that's happening is that on the Celtics end is that Hugo Gonzalez is messing things up for people, right? His lineups are crushing. Like there's I pulled this up. Let me find it real quick here. So the most used Hugo Gonzalez lineup is Derek White, Anthony Simons, Hugo, Sam Hauser, and Keita. It's only 46 possessions, but it has outscored opponents by 68.8 points per 100 possessions. And like, there's a lot of lineups like that with Hugo where it's just it's
scored opponents by what?
68.8 in those 46 possessions. Yeah, so it's like it's stupid, right? It's a small sample size, but it's just a stupid number that it's outscoring opponents by. It's not even like statistically reasonable, right? Hugo as a whole, like his lineups in total, like the 993 possessions, the Celtics are outscoring opponents by 11.8, right? So that number being higher, anytime Jalen's not on the floor and Hugo is, and one of those bench lineups outscores an opponent, Jalen's number goes down. And I think that's a big part of it here. That's not saying that, again, I just want to be abundantly clear. The Celtics are not being outscored when Jalen is on the floor. They are outscoring opponents by a fairly solid margin, especially when you take into account the fact that Jalen starts. So he's always facing the opponent's best, opposition, and he finishes. So he's always facing the opponent's best lineups. So I think that's the place to start for me, is just like really understand that he's not being outscored. The only people that are outscoring him are the bench lineups who are facing not as good players.
Which is important. It's an important distinction to make. But it's still not, when we're talking about MVP case, the people who are going to make the case against Jaylen Brown are going to say, yeah, that's fine, Tom, but these other guys are still positives when, the difference between what Jaylen Brown is on the floor versus not on the floor is still a negative number. And the other guys are positive numbers. So they are making more of an impact, is the theory. This is where like the advanced numbers, you can make stats say kind of anything that you want. There's no doubt. Let me be clear. There's no doubt in my mind that Jaylen Brown is the most impactful player on the floor for the Celtics.
Some might say he's the most valuable player for the Celtics.
Yeah, that's right.
That
might be one way to phrase it. They are nowhere near this good without Jaylen Brown. They are a lottery team without Jaylen Brown. He is clearly the best player and very clearly should be a legitimate MVP candidate. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of the times these numbers come up and people make a big deal of them, like you said, without the proper context, because they didn't expect Jaylen Brown to be there. And so what ends up happening is, well, I didn't expect it, so there must be something wrong here. And so I'm not going to sit there and be like, wow, this is unexpected, and I'm going to embrace it. It's, why are these, like, the Phoenix Suns are, a surprisingly good team and their defense is good, but I don't buy into the Phoenix Suns. So something's got to be weird here. And I'm still right. I just got to find the numbers that are going to tell me that I'm right. And for people they go on to cleaning the glass and they go, oh, Jaylen Brown, his minus 6.1. There it is right there. Boom. Everyone else, I go through everybody else on that list, and it's him and Anthony Edwards. And you can say, yeah, maybe Anthony Edwards isn't as impactful, when it comes to winning basketball games, which is also kind of crazy because he is obviously very impactful. So I do think there's a little bit of cherry picking and using it to justify people's kind of I don't say biases, but it's like it is a confirmation bias. But when you look at the numbers here, the thing that does stand out is the offensive numbers are fine. The defensive numbers are worse. It's all on the defensive side where, the points per possession is, 8 points higher when Jalen is on the floor. Why is that? When Jalen himself is a very good defender. And, Bobby Marks put the stat out there that when Jalen's the closest defender, opponents are shooting like the second worst field goal percentage or effective field goal percentage in the league. I forget who was first, but it was
Case Wallace from the
Case. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So
which that lines up with the eye test.
Yeah. Right. So, again, like, okay, if Jalen himself is a good defender and Nemish Cato's on the floor a lot of times with Jalen, he's a plus defender. Why are the defensive numbers not as good? Why? I would think the defensive numbers should be good with Jalen. And this is where you boil it down. Like, the offensive numbers are fine. They're totally fine. Like, they're good with Jalen on the floor.
Very good.
For some reason, the defense tends to suffer. Let's come back and try to figure out why is the impact with Jalen on the floor seemingly showing up on the defensive end. We'll be right back. Today's show is brought to you by Rocket Money. You want to make the most out of your finances, and that can feel overwhelming. You get subscriptions that you forget about, bills that keep piling up, and trying to figure all of that out, where your money goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? Well, Rocket Money does, because they're the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You can check out Rocket. You don't even realize how many subscriptions, it's especially a problem for me because I have to keep subscribing to different papers all around the league, Orlando and Atlanta, and everybody's charging me money. And I kind of forget to cancel things when I don't need to be there anymore. So Rocket Money is going to help me track those down and cancel those. Automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can see exactly where the money goes each month. You can set budgets, goals, personalized highlights, personalized insights, and you get real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checking, savings, loans, investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Today's show is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. With Prize Picks, it's always good. It always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend, now that the playoffs are here, elite hoops action almost every night. The action never slows down. Prize Picks lets you stay in control. It's the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just go pick more or less and play your way. It's easy to start. It's simple to navigate through the app. You can get flexibility with options like FlexPay, where you can still get paid even if one pick misses. That's the nice option. And the new early payouts feature is a game changer because if a player starts hot, you can cash out before the game ends. You just guarantee yourself a little something, a little bit of a return. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA Game Night. We're recording this before the games because I will be hosting Game Night, covering all of the games in the NBA. So check it out. It's me. It's Hayes this time around. So we're going to go have some fun covering the entire league on NBA Game Night. Subscribe. You'll also get the Locked On NBA podcast, which covers all the big storylines in the league. One of the big storylines is Jaylen Brown being an MVP candidate, but people are going to shoot him down, and the defensive numbers, Tom, seem to be dragging him down. I think he's a little bit of a victim of the Celtics struggle. Like, the defense has been a struggle this year anyway. It's more of a struggle than in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's Jalen's fault, but it's the numbers with him on the floor, off the floor. Like, the numbers don't. This is where the numbers really seem to hurt him, because the points per possession with him on the floor go up by 8 points, and that's the worst on the team. So I don't know. Do you have any kind of inkling as to why the points per possession would go up like that with Jaylen on the floor?
Not really. I think, I mean, sometimes numbers are a little noisy, right? Sometimes I think that I do think that there's something to the lineups that Jaylen plays against are tougher than the lineups that other players play against, right? He plays at the hardest time. He also plays a lot of minutes. So that's not a perfect 1-to-1 because he faces a lot of different lineups throughout the course of a game. So it's not perfect. I think Jaylen is a really, really good individual defender. I think that the way he, defends and when he takes a matchup personally and he really gets after it, it is, then he's one of the best in the NBA, right? Like I think he and Tatum, between the two of them, they single-handedly changed the way they single-handedly did irreparable damage. Well, I guess double-handedly between the two of them, but they did irreparable damage to the Dallas Mavericks franchise, right? Like they're the reason that Luka Dončić is in Los Angeles now. They changed the way Luka Dončić is discussed for, 18 some odd months. Like he was, like Jaylen as an individual defender, when he really takes a matchup personally and seriously, is just a menace. He's really tough. He's not always the most engaged defender of all time. And I think too, we've talked this season a lot about the effort that Jaylen has to put into the offensive end to do all the stuff that he does. Even a guy who spent half the summer not breathing at the bottom of a pool is still like human. Like he still has to, like he can't just go 100% the entire game.
That's right.
That there are sliders here. Like that's one of the most realistic things about a video game is like the slider thing. If you put a little bit more into your offense, it's got to come from somewhere. And I think for Jaylen, it probably has come a little bit at the expense of the defensive end. And the good news is, the Celtics have one of the best offenses in the NBA. They're second, according to Cleaning the Glass. Like he is more than doing his job on that end. The defense is suffering a little bit, but they're in second in the East. I don't know. It's working.
Yeah, it's working. But so I think there are a couple of things at play here. I think they had the recent stretch of they lost 4 or 5 first quarters in a row. And that was all like Jaylen Brown's on the floor for almost all of that.
Yeah.
Is that all his fault? No, this is, I think what we're seeing is a little bit of a problem with individual numbers in a team sport. Peyton Pritchard at the beginning of the third quarter against the Clippers, I was like, you got to get Peyton Pritchard off the floor. And people roasted me. But at the time, Kawhi was, targeting him. They were like, he was the pigeon. And Jaylen Brown's on the floor for that. And you look at all of these negative numbers on the defensive side. It's Jordan Walsh, who's been a starter, Sam Hauser, who, gets a fair amount of minutes. They get those together. Peyton Pritchard, who's a starter. Jaylen Brown is, has been on the floor with a lot of those guys, even Josh Minot in limited minutes. He's been on the floor with like a lot of these guys. And like, why is Jordan Walsh? Like we look at Jordan Walsh as like an all NBA defender when he's at his best. And like the defensive numbers are still not so great with him on the floor. I think there's just between, look, maybe you did start slow. Maybe you did start slow in the first quarter. Maybe, there was an early part of the season where they were having trouble closing games and they would lose leads, but they would still find a way to win, but they would lose leads. And that all goes into the negative side for Jaylen Brown. And so I think when you look at the advanced numbers, it puts a little too much pressure on these guys to be perfect all the time. And it puts a lot on Jaylen that also applies to, like I said, if Jordan, Peyton, and Jaylen are on the floor at the same time, and Jordan's getting roasted and Peyton's getting roasted, and maybe Jaylen didn't come over and help, but they're all getting dinged for that kind of stuff. So I understand like these other guys, they're positives no matter what. But I do think that in this situation, Jaylen, the numbers have always been unkind to him, and I don't think that's just a Jaylen Brown problem. I think there are circumstances involved with all of this stuff. And like when you look at why do the analytics work against Jaylen Brown, I think that he's had to carry such a load that, you know, a team that we knew coming in was not going to be great defensively. And he's out there trying to outscore everybody and be such a big offensive kind of plus that even when you're giving up, like, is it Jalen's fault that they keep giving up all those offensive rebounds, you know, when they had all of those problems? Some of it is because he's got to box out from the wing, but those are all those second chance points are all coming off of Jaylen Brown as well. Like the plus minus stuff that everybody who's on the floor, and Jaylen happens to be on the floor when a lot of that stuff is happening, when he's getting 100% of the impact, but what, 20-30% of it is his fault. So it's not like the most glowing kind of like, oh, this is not a big deal. Some of it is his fault, but mostly it's the Celtics are not constructed well enough to be a positive defensively for the most part. The guys who are positives defensively are doing it in, like, you know, like you said, the Ugo, you know, off the bench, kind of weird, kind of crazy, like runs. And he goes on these crazy, just like 2, 3, 4, you know, high energy plays. And he gets a whole, it's like Jalen's the guy at the slot machine, just putting in the money. And maybe at the end, he comes out like a little bit ahead. And it's like, okay, I'm done. Ugo comes in, throws $5 in, pulls the arm, and like, oh, jackpot. Woo. You're like, oh, okay. Well, you know, you happen to come in and have a big impact in a short amount of time, and the numbers look great. But Jalen's been doing so much of the work that he kind of gets dinged for stuff that's not his fault.
Well, it's more like everybody pitched in a certain amount of money for, like, you know, the Mega Millions, and they just decided they were going to all split it equally. And like Ugo put in like a little bit of money, and Jaylen is putting in a lot of money, and they all get the same amount of the, you know. So Ugo's rate of return is a little better. I mean, one thing that I think is like kind of sums up this point a little bit is like, you know, your point, like everything kind of works in tandem. So Anthony Simons, when he's on the floor with Jaylen, right, the offense is 3 points per 100 possessions better, and the defense is 3 points per 100 possessions worse when he's on the floor with Jaylen versus off. So it's like, and then, you know, if just Jaylen is on the floor, that number kind of meets right back in the middle. So it's like there's all these factors that are happening around Jaylen at the same time. Like you're saying, right? It's like you put a good offensive player and a bad defender in, and it all just kind of comes back to that same balance.
Yeah.
Like the defense is a very much a team thing, and Jaylen is a part of that team, and he puts some stuff on the table, and he you know, takes some stuff off from time to time. And I mean, I think, look, when really what it comes down to at this current juncture, it's like, I don't think there's a whole lot of people who would pick Jaylen over SGA anyway. Right. So it's like, really what we're doing when we're talking about the MVP is arguing about, like, you know, who's the second best player in the NBA, right? Like that's really what it kind of, and even that is flawed, because the second best player in the NBA is probably Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? The first best player in the NBA can't even qualify for MVP because he's going to miss a bunch of time. So, like, I don't know. I think it's interesting to have these conversations, but also at the same time, like, Jalen's probably not going to win the MVP one way or the other. And really what this is people on social media having an opportunity to yell at each other about the Boston Celtics, which really is their absolute favorite pastime.
I get it. Yes. But look, I'll just throw this out there. Oklahoma City Thunder just lost the Charlotte Hornets.
They did.
They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. They've come back down to earth just the tiniest bit. I mean, they're still in orbit, but they're not as high in orbit.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying that they're going to like crater or anything like that, but I think there's a little bit of reality setting in for the Thunder, and, you know, a little bit of reality for them, a little bit of continued excellence for the Celtics. And Shai having won it last year, if the Thunder hit a little bit of a slump here and they come back to the pack and now everything's kind of evened out, does he get the same shine And do people start to be like, look, the Thunder got bored and SGA can't pull them out of their boredom, but here's Jaylen still doing this. And, whatever their record ends up being as you get into March, like I don't know. I'm not saying that he's going to win the MVP, but I think you can make an argument for him depending on how things go moving forward.
Jaylen is, in my opinion, I will go to the mat on this one. Jaylen is the lore MVP of the season. Like, it's Jaylen, like, as far as like all the players that are not on the Celtics anymore, Jayson Tatum out, Celtics still in. It's like Jaylen Brown is the lore MVP by far. You can keep your Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and his outscoring opponents by 16 points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. You can have that one. You can have your analytics MVP, your big analytics. Jaylen Brown is the lore MVP.
Which makes me wonder, and it'll be my final point. All of those people who are like, yeah, narratives have to matter when it comes to the MVP. Well, who has the narrative?
It's clearly Jaylen.
Jaylen Brown has the narrative, right? Like he's got the Celtics were supposed to be a play-in team, maybe not even a play-in team. People were picking them to win 35 games. Jason's out, all these guys, they have all these trades. And now here they are. Here they're second seed right now in January. Look, he's got the narrative.
The only other even contender on that front is Cade, right? Like it's Cade and Jaylen. Those are the two.
Those would be the two. Those would be the two. And like even the Pistons.
And Jaylen's wins. I'm sorry.
Jaylen's wins 100%. 100% because SGA, if the Thunder start to slip a little bit, then that kind of goes away. Luka, what people are talking about, they don't have Austin Reeves, so they're not going to be
with the Luka one. I'm sorry.
You're talking about like you're Luka, you got LeBron, and you're telling me Austin Reeves is going to make the difference? Like, come on, man. So that the narrative belongs to Jaylen. He has the narrative and he has the numbers, except for those pesky advanced stats where the people are going to start like dig. Oh, I need tiebreakers. Oh, there it is. Here it is. Those big blue negatives on cleaning the glass. There it is. Oh, I can't give it to him. Look at him. He's a negative when he's out. No. Like you can't rely on any one stat when you're talking about MVP. You got to take the whole thing in totality.
Don't punish Jaylen for the bench being good. I'm sorry. Don't like it. Give it to whoever, but don't punish Jaylen for the bench being good.
There you go. We'll leave it there. All right, Tom. Good, strong point to end on. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. And I appreciate you listening, watching, and enjoying the show. Here's what I'm going to do. If you've gone this far, I'm going to play the open for you one more time, the full open, because people have been like getting on me because I shortened the open. Look, we have to shorten the open. Like I can't be doing 30, 40 seconds of music ahead because that's unfortunately it's just, that's the way of the world. So I had to do it. I'm sorry to do it, but what I'm going to do, get your screen recordings ready, get your phones, whatever, something to record it ready. I'm going to say goodbye. And then I'm going to play the open one more time for you to listen to. And if you want, before you click the podcast, just play the open for yourself and then play my podcast. And there you go. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis, recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started. Raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.